the ones and twos, and Gabe Kuhn from 92.9 in Memphis, host of the Gabe Kuhn Show, joining us now because Ja Morant, if you haven't noticed, has been in the news quite a bit lately. And Gabe, thank you so much for carving out some time for us today. The reason I wanted to have somebody from Memphis on is because when Taylor Jenkins got fired last year, James and I looked at each other and went, that's insane. Why are they firing Taylor Jenkins? And then I hit our buddy Brad from 92.9 and I said, hey, what the hell? And Brad was like, no, this is the right thing to do. I'm like, whoa, okay, so we just had this totally wrong. So I want to get your perspective as somebody who's there in the thick of it in Memphis. What's your perspective on this entire Ja Morant? I guess we'll call it a saga, for lack of a better word.
Listen, man. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Cool.
But my perspective is I have to psychoanalyze him too much. That's what it's become. I still react to Ja's drama, but at this point, I expect it. If it's not one thing, it's another. That's sort of what it's become with Ja. There was a while where it feels like everybody from Memphis sort of took offense to people talking about the team that were not in the city on a consistent basis, and didn't like the takes that were being shot from national media. But at the same time, it's just gotten to this fever pitch to this point where I think most people, even here in Memphis, are starting to just get tired of it. Now, does that mean that they want Ja Morant to be traded? Well, probably not. We could probably discuss this during this segment. But it's my perspective is it's getting old. That's my perspective.
The question, because I've covered players like this, DeMarcus Cousins having on-court, off-court issues like all the time. And it does start to wear on not just, the people covering the team itself, the franchise itself, his teammates, but also on a fan base. And then you start having this great divide between, the people who want him gone and the people who are like, are you kidding me? How could we ever move on from this player? Right. And so the dynamic is still here in Sacramento, where there are still people who in the chat today said, oh, DeMarcus Cousins is my GOAT. And it's like, okay. But like dealing with it, how much do you think that it's just time? It's just time for him to go and be somewhere else. And do you think that will actually help him grow and mature as a player?
No, I don't. I think Ja is who Ja is. Ja, listen, if we've learned anything about Ja, he's pouty when he doesn't get his way. I don't like saying this about people, but like I think it's pretty clear at this point. He's got some immaturity, and I think what we have learned very, very, the most obvious thing is he's confrontational, right? He may have something going on. I don't know. But eventually, if you consistently have something going on, like people start to just get numb to it and stop believing you, right? Like I hate to say it because it sounds insensitive, but when you see someone with as much drama and theater surrounding them as Ja Morant, you start to just become numb to it, right? It's just part of their being. And maybe DeMarcus Cousins felt that way to you guys, but you ask yourself, is this person just this unlucky, or is he doing it to himself? And I think in this situation, I've gotten to the point where it's the latter. He's doing it to himself. And it's consistently open defiance, whether it's to Adam Silver in the league or to his teammates or to his coaches. And it's overdone. It's over dramatic. And he's made a bunch of choices, but he never makes the easy choice. You know what I mean? Like it's easy not to get in fist fights over basketball games at your house, over pickup games. It's easy not to go on Instagram with a gun. It's easy not to have an altercation at Foot Locker. It's easy not to take a conversation with your coach when he calls you out for bad effort public. He just consistently makes the hard decision. He's going to do it his way or the highway. That's just sort of who Ja Morant has become at this point. And I think that, Memphis fans of the NBA have to accept that. So when we talk about him going to another place, can you accept that? You know, I believe you guys had conversations about if the Kings should get involved in a Ja Morant a potential trade. And you have to ask yourself, are you willing to take on these problems? Because it could go sideways. That's just the nature of Ja Morant at this point.
Gabe Kuhn, the Gabe Kuhn Show on 92.9 in Memphis, joining us now to talk about this Ja Morant stuff. So do you feel like the team thinks this has run its course, or do they still feel like he's the level of star where they're going to bend over backwards to try and figure this out?
I still think the team is going to stick by him and try to figure this out because if you're asking me, should or will he be traded? Like, I just think the answer is no, because I don't think the Grizzlies as an organization or the city of Memphis as a city trying to keep this team in Memphis is in the situation where they can let a guy like Ja go. He puts butts in seats. He gives you relevance. He's a sort of an international celebrity at this point, sells shoes to the kids, does all that stuff. And also, like, I don't want to lose sight of the fact he gives you a very good chance to win when he plays to his capability and plays with effort. The Grizzlies won 60% of the games that he has participated in. And I don't know if people in Memphis are ready to admit this either. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the lease situation going on in Memphis. Our new mayor-elect was told, hey, by the Grizzlies, hey, we're going to get a 25-year lease signed this offseason. That's been delayed, and it keeps getting pushed down the road. And the Grizzlies want assurances about what it's going to look like going into the future. Is there going to be is it going to be safer in downtown Memphis? Are you going to have more of an entertainment area? How much money is getting poured into this thing? What are the renovations going to look like? I just don't think at this moment, with that hanging over your head, you can trade a guy like Ja Morant and rebuild. Because right now, if we're just being honest about where the Grizzlies are at, $2 tickets, lowest attendance in the league last year, and if you trade Ja, you'd have a superstar that would be traded for a lower than expected price. So I think there's a lot of reasons the Grizzlies hold on to him.
Okay, so let's play in the world where they do feel like this is over and they need to move away from him. What do you think that they're going to look for in a trade? And, you know, like the Kings have multiple ways to get to the matching of salary. They have multiple first-round picks in the future. But what do you think a package would look like for Ja Morant, where, again, you're hearing guys like Brian Windhorst go out and say, hey, there's not going to be a robust market. I've heard other people, like I have sources that are telling me, yeah, don't buy into that. There's going to be plenty of teams that are interested. And one of those teams, from what I've heard, is likely going to be the Sacramento Kings. Is there a trade that you could put together that would make sense for Ja?
Oh gosh, I'm not good with the matching salaries and everything in the NBA. I would say a Malik Monk would be in that trade. Grizzlies would ask for more than that. I don't know, if they try to get a DeMar DeRozan or a Zach LaVine thrown in there, how that would look. But the Grizzlies, if you're trading Ja Morant, you would ask for the farm in regards to first round picks. Because if you're trading Ja Morant, you're going to have to go and be aggressive probably in this year's draft, because it is really good. I don't know if you guys have looked at the college basketball space and the freshmen there, but it looks nice. Watch Koa Pete last night for Arizona drop 30. Yeah, that was fun. He just put himself in the lottery. But I think you'd have to go for picks. But my problem is, like, I'll ask you, I'll sort of turn this around on you guys. If you're a team trading for Ja Morant, are you going to want to give up all that you have in the way of draft assets to go acquire him, knowing what you know about him right this second, knowing what you know about his consistent unhappiness and the drama that surrounds him?
So we had this discussion a little bit yesterday, and I think for me, where I landed is when you take the totality of it, the off-court stuff, the on-court stuff, how's his body going to hold up? Can a small guard who doesn't shoot it a ton from three, can they age well? Can you build around that guy? I think when you take in the totality of that, I think given what you're saying, where Memphis is going to want, they're going to need the matching salary, of course, but then, multiple firsts, I'm out on that. No, if Memphis is just like, we just want out from under the Ja Morant experience, and he's available for matching salary and a heavily protected one, then sure, like, take the swing. But outside of that, I'm kind of out.
Yeah, I don't see the Grizzlies and Zach Kleiman, the GM, really getting involved in trade talks without a couple of first round picks, without being able, because he is a good drafter in the end of the day. I don't think that Zach Kleiman is that great of a trader or roster builder, quite frankly. At this point, hadn't looked that great the past couple of years. I feel like in 2022, when they were second in the West with 56 wins, they had a bunch of good role players. He tried to go young. He doubled, he tripled, he quadrupled down on youth and missed on certain guys that he brought over. Tried to bring in a vet like Marcus Smart. That was ugly. So, I think when we talk about value in a trade, he's going to want to see the value in those draft picks, because he knows that he can usually create value with those first round draft picks.
Yeah, I could see the Kings giving up a first round pick, but I don't think you're going to do multiple picks. And it's the off court stuff with Ja. It's the injury history with Ja. It's the way he's acting today, where not only is he like being so theatrical in the locker room, but on top of that, we hear Draymond Green and describing the conversation he had with Steph Curry after the game when they played Memphis, and both of them are like, "Oh, that dude's not trying." That's a problem. Like when you get to that point with a player where like opposition feels like he's not playing hard, your value starts to plummet. And so if they do move him, I mean, I don't know that they're going to get multiple first round picks. And I guess it would depend on what you're sending back. I mean, the Kings have, again, multiple options. It could be a DeMar DeRozan and a Malik Monk. It could be Zach LaVine matching salary straight up. It could be Domantas Sabonis matching salary straight up. And then you're trying to figure out who's getting draft compensation and stuff like that. But I still think that there is a pathway here for both of these two teams to at least have discussions. And I think the betting odds right now is if Ja is traded, the Sacramento Kings are the top choice or the top option to land him.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. Need a point guard in a big way. I know Sabonis has talked about that on multiple occasions. So
yeah,
we'll see how it plays out. I would just say, if he can do this to the Grizzlies, he can absolutely do this to the Kings. I mean, I've noticed something at least the last couple of years since his production has gone down, right? Because his production has gone down. Percentages aren't as high, points aren't as high. He's not playing as many games. We know that. I've seen the stat, I'm sure you guys have seen it, where his All-NBA year in 2022, he was averaging nearly 9.5 attempts at the rim. And so far this year, only averaging 4.9 attempts at the rim. And, obviously some people would look at that and say, well, he had to play in a more sustainable way. But he's not playing in a more sustainable way. He still takes his lumps at the rim, falls on the ground, and then he can't make jumpers to sort of compound that. So it's been a frustrating thing to watch. But in the end of the day, I could see him as a fit with the Kings. I would just, in the end of the day, to anybody getting involved in those sweepstakes, be careful. Be careful. Although I don't think the Grizzlies, back to my original point, I don't think the Grizzlies are going to offload him now. I feel like they're going to try to make this work, although your guess on if it will work or not is as good as mine.
Gabe Kuhn, the Gabe Kuhn Show on 92.9 ESPN out there in Memphis. Gabe, thank you so much for hopping on with us today, man. Have a great show, and good luck with the rest of this Ja Morant stuff.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, fellas.
Yeah, buddy. Gabe Kuhn, there he goes. 92.9, our sister station in Memphis.